We're going to go over to the standard table. We have Brennan Decandio versus Craig Kremples. Craig is on Jeskai aggro. This is a lot. It sounds flashy. It is a take on mono red.
Well, none of these cards have flash.
Yeah. It's got Path of Metal as a light white splash. And then has some negates in the sideboard.
Ooh.
So, Spiral of Canal, Kevin Jones. Look at this board state.
Yeah. He could have been one of these players.
Either of them. They're both in the undefeated table. Don't tell me you can't cast Spiral of Canal.
Right.
Decandio makes Glint Sleeve Siphoner, has to use an Aether Hub to do it. Now, Decandio's side, it is Grixis Energy. This is
a little bit different than the stock
yeah.
build. He's caught a couple Scarab Gods, and he's playing 4 copies of Rekindling Phoenix. He's been very big on this card.
So this makes it way more mid-ranging of a deck. So I'm assuming we can't have... Well, I was going to say we can't have a big stack of Vraska's Contempts, but it looks like Brennan, yeah, why not?
Yep. Yeah, he's still doing that, and kind of the idea is you tax your opponent's Vraska's Contempts in the mirror more by having Phoenix. And he actually has more Glorybringers than the Scarab Gods, which is uncommon in these builds. And
yeah.
I asked him about it, and he said, Glorybringer has haste. Nothing more to say.
All right. Craig, on the draw, has a turn 2 carry Zev. Brennan going to attack with Glint Sleeve Siphoner. 2 energy waiting to convert. We'll see if they do. So we go back over to Kremples. Harness Lightning will shoot down the Pirate before attackers. Looks like Craig has another copy, so that'll be fine. He's going to cast...
Path of Metal.
Path of Metal. We're going to look at that one as well.
This card's got a weird text box. So when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to every creature that does not have First Strike, Double Strike, Vigilance, or Haste.
So the red-white abilities.
Yep.
Okay.
And then when you attack with at least 2 creatures that have any of those abilities, it transforms.
Okay, so the first part's done. It took care of Glint Sleeve Siphoner. That was pretty neat.
And it's only just warming up.
Yeah, Daring Buccaneer, I believe the follow-up here. Is that right? I'm gonna look at that in a sec.
I believe
fourth
that
land from Brennan. So when it's Rigging Runner, apologies.
No raid trigger. Lowly 1/1.
Right. Bomat Courier.
Right, so if Kremples is able to attack with both of these creatures, that will transform the Path of Metal.
Right, Rigging Runner has First Strike and Bomat Courier has Haste. Those were on our among the options. Brennan's gonna cycle. He doesn't want Path of Metal to transform.
Oh wow, and it looks like Brennan has an Essence Scatter in hand.
Oh,
he does not counter the Bomat Courier, or maybe the Bomat
Courier
Courier still on the stack.
Yeah, there we go. Essence Scatter is gonna take care of Bomat Courier. Hate to counter that one, yeah.
But Path of Metal transforms into quite the powerful card.
Yeah, so it becomes Mccarley Tower of Triumph. It taps for any color. It has the ability to deal 2 damage to each opponent, or it can randomly destroy an attacker.
That one used quite a bit less often, but that first mode there, that's just a better Ramunap Ruins.
So here's Carry Zev. And the Scarab God is the play from Brennan.
Yeah, so Kremples really only has the line of attacking into the Scarab God and hoping he can deal enough damage fast enough to not lose.
Both his cards have First Strike, so he will get to transform Path of Metal into Mccarley.
Get a few points of damage in, too.
And Hazaret. Okay, 3 ways to trigger. And one last card. Let's get them all on the table. Here is the Fanatical Firebrand. They are all swinging. Path of Metal easily going to trigger here into Mccarley. So he's got the transformed version.
Card transforms.
Okay, now you can check it off.
Too late. It's already checked.
Yeah.
Check it twice.
I mean, you can do that. Brennan's hand looks to be 2 lands, just Mountain and Aether Hub. He is at 19, though, and is going to get to untap with the Scarab Gods. So there's a lot to like.
Presumably he blocks something that's not Hazaret and tries to figure it out from there.
Blocks Fanatical Firebrand. So 5 of Hazaret, 6 from Karizev, 8 after Ragavan, and 9 after Rigging Runner. So it looks like Brennan will drop to 10 here and get the transformation.
Nearly half the life total.
Yeah.
And from 10 against that tower.
Yeah.
It's going to be a rough go.
Well, I think he'll have to just race back with Scarab God, right? You know, he can't. I don't know if he can stabilize anymore because of Mccarley.
Right.
But Scarab God is a 5/5, and it brings some reasonable creatures with it.
With the mana setup here, Kremples every turn can discard card to Hazoret to deal 2 damage and activate the tower.
Just 4 per turn?
Yep.
Yeah, that by itself is a 3-turn clock, and I bet he can find 2 more damage in the meantime. It's probably a 2-turn clock from Kremples.
Right. Yeah, the Hazoret's going to keep attacking.
Brennan's draws Rekindling Phoenix. However, he can't use Scarab God and the Phoenix in the same turn, so he's still really stuck on one thing to do.
There's not really a great creature he can bring back with the Scarab God right now.
Fanatical Firebrand. Well, I do like that because it has haste. So if he's trying to counter race, maybe on the following turn he can bring it back and get enough damage across.
Sure. Yeah, casting the Phoenix here would be fine. He can jump in front of the Hazoret, and he would still come back with haste on Decandio's following turn.
I guess if he swings for 5, puts Craig to 13, makes that block, the Phoenix will come back 4, 5 haste, 4 more haste. It is technically 13 damage.
Yeah, Decandio is just going to hang back and try to block, though. Worth noting that if Decandio did try to make a race...
The Mccarley would get him?
Right, it can hit an attacking creature. A random attacking creature.
A random one. I like that.
They're all 4 power or more, so no bad hits there.
Here's a swing from Kremples. Brennan's going to have to use the Scarab God. It's going to bring back... Look at the graveyard. Looks like Fanatical Firebrand. That may be his only... He has that or Glint Sleeve Siphoner as his choices.
Yeah, you can put that in front of the Hazoret and use the Firebrand to hit the Ragavan and save yourself 2 life that way.
So, yeah, and that looks like what he's doing. Blocks here. So Rigging Runner will die in combat. It's both Embalmed and Eternal. It's everything.
It's actually neither of those things.
Yeah, it's actually neither of those things. Yeah. Shoots down Ragavan. You mentioned it. So 1 damage comes across Brennan at 9. But as you mentioned, Craig does have 4 damage just in waiting. So Brennan has next. He's just going to take a draw.
And if Kremples could just sneak in 1 more damage on the following turn, then he has lethal with those 4 activations, the 2 Hazorets.
Yeah, and with 4, he has what's going to feel like 4 attackers because of the menace that Carrie Zev gives.
Right.
If Brennan plays out his hand, he drew a Glint Sleeve Siphoner. That and Phoenix means at least 1 damage will get through on the attack, and Brennan will die on the next attack.
Yeah.
I don't know that he has a way around it.
Right. Yeah, the reason you don't see Brennan going for a Scarab activation and scrying is because the spell he really wants to draw is Vraska's Contempt.
Yeah, so he's going to play out the Phoenix, and then he can play out the blocker. The issue I have here is that Brennan has no cards in hand and is dead on board, and Craig's not going to miss that. The play's just attack with everything.
It's this or concede.
Okay. Discards the land, so Brennan down to 7, Brennan down to 5. Watch this again. He's going to run it back. It's going to work.
Maybe add a haste creature.
It's just attack. Attack with everything, then you got him.
Craig's going to think about it, though.
He's tapped out. He has no cards.
It's going to be a tough one.
12 p.m. Legacy Challenge.
Going to give it a big, long think.
It's like we'll double check that it's lethal. It totally makes sense.
You don't want it to not be lethal.
Again, 12 p.m. Legacy Challenge players, your 4th and final round pairings.
Craig actually passed.
Well, we'll confirm life totals here. That probably also wins, to be fair.
True. Maybe he drew a lightning strike in his slow-rolling Brennan.
Okay.
And there's the attack with the Phoenix.
Those are life totals. Okay, Phoenix will swing in. Craig down to 14.
Kremples could tower it down, but that's not worth as much as damage.
Yes, maybe. So maybe Craig misses a lethal here, but it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of miss where it's like...
Clearly has it in 2 turns here. He has a
Yeah,
bunch of free
I don't think
effects.
it's not a problem. I mean, I guess if Brennan draws Vraska's Contempt, we have to worry about that might matter. So he shot Brennan down to 3. He'll say go. If Brennan taps mana to use Scarab God, he's going to shoot him.
Yep.
Magic players.
Looks like the card picked up last turn was Shock.
And it looks like upkeep now. Craig's going to go ahead and go for the win. A little fancy of a way to go about this, but it should still work. Let's actually not an upkeep and let him draw. Glorybringer, Torrential Gear Hulk are the cards in Brennan's hand. Those don't really play here.
Nope.
Swing, Craig down to 10. Brennan, I believe, will confirm that he is down to... Okay, he's down to 3 now. I think we had Brennan off by 2 life points, so we'll shoot him to 1 and activate. So that's going to explain it a little more.
That would make a lot more sense.
So game 1 goes to Craig Kremples, Jeskai aggro. So we're going to talk about just exactly what Jeskai means, because we saw the white, we didn't really see any blue. We'll get back to that in just a second after this break. So Craig Kremples and Brennan Decandio are going to side up board up here for game number 2. Jeskai aggro. So we have some negates in the sideboard on Craig's side.
Yes, we do. I think 8 total blue sources in the main. You have those canals and some ether hubs. And the rest of the sideboard, some Chandra's Defeats, a couple Chandra Torch Defiance, 2 Glorybringer, 2 Scavenger Grounds, another Carry Zev, 3 Abrade. It seems like the matchup where Craig pretty firmly wants to take the aggressive role here. I like the extra Carry Zev, and matchups where you figure it's going to die and you want to be aggressive, that one's quite good. Chandra Torch Defiance demands pretty specific answers, so I do like that a good amount there. Negate is fine. I think that you really want the negates particularly to deal with approach from the second sun. You don't care as much about a matchup like this. Maybe you bring in 1 negate for Vraska's Contempts, but obviously it doesn't counter the Scarab God or some of the other problematic creatures out of Decandio's deck, Torrential Gear Hulk.
Now, because Craig's deck has some low-end spells like Shocks and Lightning Strikes, do you like Direfleet Daredevil from Brennan, or is that just too... I mean, a 2-1 first strike for 2 is not bad.
Yeah, the first strike on its own, sometimes this card's probably fine to cast on turn 2 in a matchup like this. If Craig has fired off a Lightning Strike, then the Daredevil starts to get really good.
So some news from the other boards. While Craig picked up his first win, his teammates were not as fortunate. Both Tan and Grace and Caleb Durward won their game 1s. Bomat Courier going to start out from Craig Kremples. Hastes on in for 1. Puts a card under it. We go back.
It looks like Decandio has picked up that Daredevil.
Sure. Yeah, here it is. And there is the card. Not even cast anything. It's just a blocker. But fine enough.
Gets in front of Bomat Courier.
And this puts some pressure, right? Did Craig even leave in Shocks? They're not particularly good here.
Yeah.
Looks like he might have Chandra's Defeat.
That's a nice one
yeah.
when you expect Glorybringers, in particular against Decandio's build.
Yeah, swings in for another 1, gets a second card, and will cast, looks like, Rigging Runner. So now it's a 2-2 thanks to the raid from Bomat Courier.
Yeah, a little better this game than last.
And it's interesting how mono red, which Craig really, his deck's a form of mono red here, is still staying so good while at the same time, really, he's picked up a completely different creature base. And a hiccup on Brennan's side. He misses land number 3, just says go. Now, we'll see how much quick removal he has. Craig goes to attacks, Brennan shoots down the Courier, but he'll take 2 off Rigging Runner.
And Kremples has picked up a Path of Metal. We'll see if he wants to cast that.
Yeah. Here's Carry Zev.
If you don't have a haste creature, it makes sense to get something else on the battlefield first.
Boom, Spirebluff Canal picked up from Brennan. Looks like he'll get to play. Only 1 miss so far. Whirler Virtuoso is ready. But now, because he has a First Striker and, well, 2 First Striking Pirates, Craig will get to flip that Path of Metal.
And that is scary.
Yeah, we saw last game it deal, I believe, 8 damage off activations.
An amusing element of Kremples' deck here is he has this blue splash on a ton of blue sources, but if he gets red-white online and transforms Path of Metal, the backside actually taps for mana of any color.
Okay.
So
yeah, it fixes his blue mana.
In the matchups where you want negate, that's kind of nice.
Lightning Strike will take care of Whirler Virtuoso. And Path of Metal, I like this, shoots down the Thopter.
Yeah, that's just a card he wants to
That
cast
was
anyway.
nice.
Wow.
That was nice.
That lines up really well against Virtuoso.
Yeah, swing, Ragavan, transform. Ooh, 5 damage. Decandio at 11. Craig still owns the board and now has a Mccarley.
Really good spot for Kremples here. And another Virtuoso for Decandio, but no 4th land. Once again, he'll be missing a land drop. And these blockers matter a lot less now that Kremples just has this form of reach that he can activate every turn.
Yeah, another Virtuoso for Brennan, but this is going to be a problem. A swing, Ragavan will come in. He doesn't want to put the 2/2 in. So Ragavan's blocked by the Thopter. Brennan takes 1. But the Mccarley's online. Brennan's hand just flooding up with high drops. You see Vraska's Contempt, Glorybringer, Scarab God, all resting there. He's got a Harnessed Lightning, maybe even 2, but that's not the problem. This land is putting him to 8. He's on a strict 4-turn clock, if not quicker.
Some of these control decks, particularly the blue-black build with no 3rd color splashed, play copies of Field of Ruin. That can be an answer.
Okay, yeah, that could work, but he doesn't have them,
It's tough to
right?
make work in the Grixis deck. Yeah, he doesn't have any.
Okay, does he have a way to shut it off at all? Like Sorcerer's Spyglass?
I don't believe he has anything of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
So 4 turns, a hard 4 turns.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe he can gain life. He could like start Vraska's Contempting lots of things. That could work.
Right.
Craig goes to combat. Brennan harnesses some lightning to shoot down Carrie Zev.
Well, that's the other thing about this Mccarley. The ways that Decandio can turn the corner quickly is just a bunch of large creatures, and Kremples can just play defense with that and use the white mode.
Kremples just says go, so he's actually running out of damage sources, but another Glorybringer drawn for Decandio. He maybe could have clawed his way back in, but each draw is counting so much.
Can't cast that one.
No, he'll swing with the Thopter. Says go, shot down to 6.
Looks like Kremples has picked up a Glorybringer of his own. The Game Day promo, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely has on Crop Crasher. That one doesn't line up great against Virtuoso.
He'll pass.
And nothing's better than just getting a free 2 damage.
No, I mean, this is already, the Mccarley's already done 4 damage. Path of Metal is really good in this deck, is what I've been learning from these games.
Yes.
Harness Lightning will shoot down the Rigging Runner. Yeah, Craig checks. He's fine with that.
Yeah, that's just the entire reason that this deck plays white.
Brennan makes another Thopter. He actually looks like Brennan didn't kill the Rigging Runner. He actually just made a Thopter. Draws Rekindling Phoenix. He's just drawing things he can't cast. He'll swing in for 2, but now shot down to 4. This is unlikely to matter.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can.
Yeah. So Craig will say go. If Brennan misses a land drop again, we're done.
Yes.
He's got Vraska's Contempt, so if he hits a land drop, he has 1 turn that he has bought himself. Fanatical Firebrand's the cast from Kremples. He'll pass. And Brennan, draw. Does he finally hit his land? He does not. It's another Rekindling Phoenix. He's going to get shot on end step, and then one more time extends the hand. So match number 1 is complete. It is Craig Kremples, a 2-0 winner over Brennan Decandio.
I like the look of this Jeskai mono red deck. Path of Metal, quite the card there. A lot of free damage after that Mccarley.
Looks like we're going to move over to the Legacy table because I don't see Caleb Durward and Brennan Mccarley playing any more Magic. We'll confirm that that match is done as well. But this is Joe Brennan and Tannen Grace where we're going to go next. So Joe Brennan playing Miracles, Tannen Grace playing Grixis Delver. Now, historically, I liked Miracles against Delver decks. Or certainly there's a ton of play to the matchup, but that was back when Sensei's Divining Top was around.
Top was really the best card in the matchup for the Miracles player. Probably on either side, actually. Just the best card in the matchup.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to this one. Tannen has 1 game 1. He has a True Name Nemesis in play, 3 lands. On Joe Brennan's side, he's got 4 lands, all basics. All of his colors set up. It's really the best 4 basics he could have. He's got Search for Azcanta going. 6 cards in the graveyard. Figure that might flip soon. And here is a Cataxian Probe. It is Swords to Plowshares. Entreat the Angels, and Unexpectedly Absent. So some uncastables here because of Joe's mana.
Yes. Entreat the Angels, generally difficult to cast from your hand, but even if
Right.
you found a Brainstorm, you'd have to find another white source, as just basic planes producing white right now.
And Tannen did find a red blast off of that probe, so he might seem to shoot off that Search for Escanto right now.
Yeah, it's reasonable that would be able to flip on the following turn.
Yeah.
And it looks like he has fetch land, dual land, no wasteland available to answer Escanto the Sunken Rune.
So he'll pass. Search for Escanto going to mill adjacent, transform. And Tannen says, wait, stop. No, that's fine, it transforms. So he's choosing not to fight over that one.
I suppose there's not a huge concern over...
Yeah, he had the wasteland for it. I think that's why.
God, must have left that there with that Ponder.
Yeah, so Joe will activate. Now, what's holding Brennan up right now is he doesn't have second white.
Yes. Though he does need something that can actually cleanly answer True Name Nemesis.
Yeah, you see a Terminus there is what he got. Now, there's going to be some issues. Tannen has 2 Force of Wills in his hand. And he's got a Blast to protect his Force of Wills, so I don't know that it's going to take a lot of work for Joe to resolve something like that card.
Right. Yeah, Joe has 5 mana, so he needs to find white source off the top if he wants to cast Terminus in the first place. Resolving it, whole different issue.
Yeah. Draws a basic. I think it's an island, though.
Pretty sure it's Island.
Yeah, consult with the teammates here. Tannen has made an interesting decision. He could have made another land drop that turn. In theory, if he gets up to 5 lands, he gets that gives him an advantage. He can hard cast the Force of Wills. Instead, he's not doing it. He's holding on to them in case he finds a Brainstorm so that he can have extra card advantage.
Yeah, once you're pitching Force of Will to Force of Will, it's not a significant cost because you have to throw something away. You don't need to Force of
Okay.
Will twice.
The second one's just a blank text on a blue card.
Right. Until you get to 6 mana, the Red Blast is not an extra card if you want to hard cast the Force of Will. At this point, he picked up a 3rd land, so it does
Okay,
make sense to get
okay.
that one out there.
Brennan down to 9. Draws. So he has, looks like. No, he's got 3 islands, a volcanic island, a mountain, and a single plains. His mana's just not working out. Still has a couple turns left. So he makes Relic of Progenitus. He's going to crack it, it looks like, to draw a card. Both players' graveyards are gone, but that's no hurt to Tannen. He's just trying to ride out this True Name Nemesis. Brennan will cast Portent, targeting himself. Tannen has an opportunity to blast here.
Not a great or exciting target from Elemental Blast, especially because that just leaves with Tannen with Force of Will. If it was Brainstorm, there's a reasonable argument to fire off the Red Blast, especially because you know the Entreat's already there. Brennan could conceivably turn this around and win with Angels. But just drawing 1 extra card, not huge.
And it's, how about this? It's a Miracle Terminus. All right, immediately that's going to get the Force of Will from Tannen. And this is actually, he was going to make land 5. So I want to go back to where you kind of thought about this being punished versus not punished, where he skipped the land drop intentionally. He would have another Force in his hand if he'd made that land drop.
Yeah, so it's still a question of whether or not he has the opportunity to convert a second Force. If it was something that happens on Brennan's turn anyway, then Tannen wouldn't have Force of Will up again. I suppose he could pitch this Delver Secret he just drew to it.
Yeah. And he'll pass. But Joe's down to 6. He needs another answer to True Name, but this next one might work. Cracks a fetch land down to 5. He is looking for one of 2 remaining copies of Terminus or Council's Judgment. Looks like he's just going to cast this other Terminus from his hand, and it resolves.
And now Tannen has Delver as a threat in his hand, but Brennan is flush with answers to that. He already knows about Swords of Plowshares.
Unexpectedly Absent. Yeah, he got that second white source, so here's Delver's Secrets, but that's not going to play. Yeah. As soon as Joe finds a Brainstorm, he also has an Entreat in hand, but how about he'll just Miracle the other Entreat? Fine by me. He's only got 2 white sources, so if he casts it for Miracle, he is taking down all his removal. Does it matter?
No. The Angels just get in front of the Delver. That's totally
Do you
acceptable.
respect? Yeah, I mean, the issue is if he Miracles it, he's losing to a Force. He could not Miracle it and then just have Force and Unexpected.
Yeah, Tannen just pitched Force to Force.
I guess he didn't counter the Terminus, which is a big sign Tannen doesn't have it.
Right. If you hang out and don't cast this, that means you're not doing anything proactive for a little bit of time. And in that time, Tannen could double Lightning Bolt you.
Maybe play around 1 days, just make 4 Angels here instead of 5. I don't even know. Maybe not any. The Terminus was cast on 7 mana.
Yeah, I think making 4 is a good number because 4 is lethal.
Yes.
And there aren't really removal spells that change that.
Yes. And if Joe turns this one around, we're going to be headed to a big deciding game 3.
You want to pay some mind to Spell Pierce. It could conceivably be a card in Tannen's hand.
Well, he would have had to just drawn it. He didn't Spell Pierce the Terminus.
Yeah, but still, it could be there.
Yeah, if you respect Spell Pierce, you're giving Tannen an extra turn, though, right? Because then you're only making 12 power?
Yes.
I like this. He respects just days. He makes 4 Angels. Because he cast Terminus on 7 mana and not 6 mana last turn, it's conceivable that Tannen has had a daze in his hand for a while. So you're not just playing on a top deck, you're playing on more, you know?
And the 5th Angel just doesn't matter.
Right. So here's 4 Flying Angels. He'll pass. Back to Tannen. He's got a draw step to work with. Just about 1. It's going to flip. Let's see if he cares. He's thinking about just not showing. Okay, Surgical Extraction will flip it. Crack Fetch Land. He doesn't want to draw that.
No. He wants to draw a Brainstorm, and he wants it to find 2 Lightning Bolts.
Yeah, I mean, he already knows right now that Brennan can unexpectedly absent the flying blocker and swing lethal.
Yep.
So, gotta respect that. He needs a something. Do you think all 4 Lightning Bolts are still in the deck in this matchup?
It's very likely that he has trimmed them.
Draws for turn. He had 1 bolt in hand, so apparently he wasn't trying to double Lightning Bolt. He was trying to single Lightning Bolt. But I don't believe he has it. He's going to make True Name Nemesis, say go. This puts some pressure on Joe. Joe actually has to all in here. He has to cast Unexpectedly Absent and swing lethal. He can try to trick Joe into not making that play.
Yeah, the thing about True Name Nemesis, though, is it doesn't incentivize trying to block.
Yeah.
As it cannot be blocked.
Unexpectedly Absent, the Insectile Aberration. That's the only flying blocker. Top of the deck. Joe Brennan, do it. Turn them all sideways. There you go. That's lethal. We're going to game number 3. So, a big comeback could be brewing here. For a while there, it looked like Joe Brennan was not going to get it, but he stabilizes at 5 and turns it around. We are going to take a short break here. When we be back, it'll be the deciding game of the round of Brennan versus Gray. All right, so players playing here for game 3. Looks like game already underway here as the 17 minutes in the round. So start Ponder and Portent cast on the first 2 turns. Portent, of course, the slower version of Ponder, but more or less the same card. Tannen will play turn 2 Young Pyromancer. As we go back over here for Joe Brennan.
Portent a card kind of back on an upswing now that Sensei's Divining Top is banned.
Yeah, you just have and there is some needed interaction. First of all, you just want all the cantrips possible. But the idea that it draws a card on your opponent's turn actually gives it some favorable interactions with cards like Terminus.
Yep. When you draw on your opponent's upkeep, your Miracle will be the first card you have drawn that turn.
So he'll cast Ponder, keep the top 3, and draws. We go back over to Tannen. The Pyromancer was hit by Swords to Plowshares. We'll see if Tannen can make another threat. He was hoping, you see Cabal Therapy in his hand, to really 1-2 punch his opponent with Therapy and Pyromancer.
There's some argument to wait, but the thing about Legacy is your 3rd mana, not super where you want to be with the Delver decks. You kind of just want to run out the Young Pyromancer, hope for the best, in particular if you just have another threat.
Well, here's True Name Nemesis, and we saw last game it swing in for 15 damage, so that's on the board now for Tannen. See what Joe can do about it. His answers, we saw the 3 copies of Terminus, a 1 Council's Judgment. That is going to be it for ways to get rid of this card.
No Supreme Verdicts.
So Predict from Joe, of course, that one name is a little deceptive here. He already knows what it is, and he'll cast a Portent targeting himself. So plenty of card filtering. He's looking for an answer to that true name.
He has a bit of time to find it, but he will need to find it.
Right. And also there's no real sources of life gain in the deck, so if he does find an answer, but he gets too low, as we saw last game, there are some lightning bolt draws that Tannen is live to.
Right. It's unlikely that without answering the True Name Nemesis that Brennan will be able to race. It would involve Entreat the Angels. Resolving that when you're under pressure can be difficult. We see Tannen resolving a Brainstorm here. He actually puts 2 of 3 lands back. And there is another Young Pyromancer in Tannen's hand here. The team's discussing whether or not they want to go for it. It would combine well with that Cabal Therapy. It does make you more vulnerable if Brennan does produce that Terminus, though. Then you're just kind of throwing everything onto the battlefield and hoping for the best. It can be really difficult to reset once you've been swept.
A Young Pyromancer from Tannen, and now that he has the Pyromancer in play, he can convert that Therapy twice. This is real good. Now, of course, Brennan's still trying to find the answer on the top of his deck because he's playing all these Ponders, so if the Terminus is there, he's still in a bit of trouble, and this is what I like. He's using Surgical Extraction main phase to shuffle up Joe's deck.
A veritable Gataxian probe as well.
Yeah.
Gets to see what to name.
Oh, that's really good. Gets rid of, it looks like Swords to Plowshares. So sees the hand. Jace, Pyroblast, or make that Red Elemental Blast.
Both.
Yeah, both. Terminus, Unexpectedly Absent, and Flooded Strand.
This hand needs a Brainstorm to work. Technically, Jace is a Brainstorm. That's not going to be in Brennan's hand for very long. Ooh, I like the teamwork there. Tannen started shuffling Brennan's deck. Caleb Durward points out Brennan shuffles his own deck. Now they're talking about what exactly they want a therapy away. So because of the Young Pyromancer, Tannen gets access to 2 therapies on the cheap. Elemental token for now.
All right, gets rid of the Terminus, flashes it back, gets rid of the Jace, leaves him with 2 blasts and an Unexpectedly Absent and a fresh shuffled deck.
a lot of good things here for Tannen. He's going to try to convert, hoping that Joe can't find another terminus in time.
Yeah, the holdings here, very beatable.
So the other thought, Tannen could have had another way to play this, I was interested about. He could have therapied first. If he'd hit terminus and just blind named terminus, he would have had the opportunity to surgical away the terminus.
Yes.
Joe going to go for ponder.
I imagine that this line was slightly influenced by the fact that he reasonably believed that there was another Swords in Brennan's hand.
Okay.
There wasn't another target available for it. It's a 4 of in the deck.
You see Joe showing teammates that he's found Council's Judgment. So he's going to have to get that one. He'll fetch and cast it. That takes care of True Name Nemesis. It's one of his few answers left for the 3-1. Now let's find a way to clean up these Pyromancer tokens, and the Pyromancer are still on the board.
Right. Tannen, I believe, does not have a daze here.
Does not. The True Name's exiled. And Joe's still at 16, so a lot of play left. Back over to Tannen. He'll swing in for 4. Drops Joe to 12. Force of Will and Brainstorm in hand. He'll go ahead and cast a Brainstorm. Why not? Get another elemental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially because he has a Pyromancer. It makes sense to be aggressive with the Brainstorm.
Looks like Delver, Brainstorm, one other.
I like keeping the Delver in hand to pitch to the Force of Will.
He also has Cabal Therapy.
You know the 3 cards in Brennan's hand, and none of them are very good.
Are they worth taking anyway or not?
You kind of want to hit Pyroblast and Elemental Blast, actually, if you're ever going to resolve that Force of Will.
Yeah.
So we could see that one fired off this turn.
Yeah, the third card's unexpectedly absent, which is okay.
Yeah, that one you care much less about.
It looks like they're going to go ahead and actually bury away the therapy. Maybe not. He's going to cast another Brainstorm, so we'll see.
Okay. And this does make this a 2-turn clock. It forces the unexpectedly absent, and he can actually just cast the therapy this turn, so that won't be an option.
Yeah, and that actually puts Joe on 1 out.
Yeah, that means that Joe has to find Terminus right now or Portent into it.
You see Caleb Durward, Brennan Decandio weighing in here with their teammate, hoping that they can ride this legacy match to the round win. Yeah, I like what they're doing here. Another Ponder, I believe, in the top cards as well. Not sure how much more of that Tannen needs.
No, at this point, he has the 2-turn clock.
Yeah, even with a bonus damage if he wants to cast the therapy.
If you cast like Ponder Therapy, you have a 2-turn clock with elemental tokens alone, which is interesting.
And Terminus is off the top.
Oh, actually,
Tannen is going to force pitching blue card here. And wait, there's no red mana for Joe.
That Flooded Strand did not find a red source.
Oh, wow. Tannen's going to untap here. He can swing for 7, Joe to 5. Says go. Now Joe he has to miracle again. There's just 1 left in the deck. It'd be a huge draw. His hand's going to get torn up too. Here's Cabal Therapy. Takes the unexpectedly absent. I don't even know if I bother flashing it back. Yeah, why not?
It's pretty free.
Take a blast. Take the Pyroblast.
Pick one. Take the foil one.
All right, Joe, here's your draw. Draw another Terminus.
That's not a Terminus.
He didn't reveal it. Ponder.
Ponder is also not a Terminus.
He could Ponder into Portent into Terminus.
Correct. It's a lot harder once you shuffle.
Yeah, he has to draw a Portent here, and then when his top 3 cards, has to have a Terminus in it, and then he's okay. That might be the only out he has now.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it's not
even
good.
Even just tapping this low, there's not really cards in the format.
It's a mountain. That's not going to do it. So it is the team of Tannen Grace, Caleb Durward, and Brennan Decandio. They are your winners. A real, right down to the end wire at the end there. But they improved to 5-2.